I'm going to pull up a browser on my screen, and I'm going to share it. And I'm also going to turn the volume down on the Twitch browser, which is repeating my voice back to me, which is quite annoying. So screen share, desktop 2, here we go. So let's have a look. If we go to GitHub Cucunber.js contribute, let's have a look at the first timers issues. Can you all see that? Is that coming through on the Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kate's giving us a silent thumbs up. And so yeah, this is the one I was mentioning just before we started the stream, Demi, is change Cucumber's own features to use Cucumber expressions from regular expressions, because I think we noticed that when we were doing something else, and the last session we did before the Christmas break, Carla was on, and that was what we did, and we made 2 pull requests, I think, or we made one, and then maybe Carla made another one out of band, I can't remember, but there's been 2 pull requests have gone in against that ticket, I think. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, this is the kind of thing we've been doing on these, is like these patterns here where we say when, and then we've been giving a regular expression, we can change it to use these Cucumber expressions, which is a string, just a string instead, and it has some nice features that come with it. So you make the thing look a bit less gnarly to read, but there's also some things we can do to change these. Basically, this is about, like, because this is a relatively new feature in Cucumber. I mean, it's probably 3 or 4 years old now. But these tests for Cucumber itself predate that feature, so they're still using all the old stuff. So this is really about making it sort of exemplary. And it's probably, probably quite a nice kind of like easy thing to do for a little bit, and it's tangible. We can pick off small. Where did I go? Yeah, we can pick off small things, that contribute to the overall goal of changing all of them, because we could just do one line at a time in a pull request.
Right.
What are the other things that are here? And we're on with that as well, so it's quite nice to continue with that, isn't it, rather than starting something else. But I'd be happy to try something else if you're more interested in it. Add possibility to opt out from printing step attachments when the scenario is not successful. I have no idea what that's about. I'd have to read that. Oh, that's the one that Aurelian left a big long explanation of how to do it, I think. Yeah. So this would be a really cool one for somebody to want to try and do solo, I think, because it really explains exactly everything that you need to do to solve it. He sort of wrote a guide for how to do it.
Nice.
Nobody's picked that up yet. And then there's this whole thing about TypeScript. When we move the code base from JavaScript to TypeScript, we just slap the any type around the place quite a lot, and we'd like to tighten that up to use proper types. That again is a bit like this one. You could chip away at it and just send pull requests for like 1 or 2 lines. And then these ones, skip status return from when it's not preventing the execution of then set. Oh gosh, that doesn't sound like
that was the first one we tackled, right?
I don't know. I don't recognize this one.
Oh, I mean the any type thing was the first.
Yeah. Was that maybe what we were trying to do when we discovered that the test fundamentally didn't work on your machine because of the parentheses in your and then we
exactly
for 3 months. I read your interview in the newsletter, by the way, Demi. That was nice. Thanks for doing that.
Thank you. Of course. It was great. Got my first exposure.
Yeah. Well, it's it just went out in an email initially, but there'll be a URL for it soon because they published the newsletter as a blog post as well. So make sure
there is a URL. There's a URL. I already saw it. Yeah. I was actually thinking of putting that on Twitter.
Yeah. put it
My
on your...
first step to being verified on Twitter.
So yeah, and then I don't know what this other one is. Opt out option, please. Print attachment step text. I don't know what that one is either. So, but we can dig into it and read it. Do you have a sense of where you'd like to go today, Kate? I could include you in this as well. What are you interested in looking into? If you have any preference, speak up. Shaking her head.
No, I'll go with what you guys choose.
So it seems you're already sort of leading towards our first one, so that's not a problem if you want to do that.
Well, I don't mind. I think it's important to do what we're interested in doing, really, because any of these is good.
Yeah. I see the third one being a little fun around some cases, like because I can't imagine it's just switching any to whatever word or whatever type it is. I imagine probably doing a little bit of refactoring around that.
Yeah. And it might be that we have to create a type sometimes as well. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Right.
Do you want to have a little look at that one?
Sure.
Okay. I'm happy if we switch threads and don't just stick with this one. I think it's good to just do what we're interested in. And
Sounds good.
Don't think. Oh yeah. Okay. So we had a couple. We've done one pull request against this, I think. Back in August. So, well, yeah. Do you want to drive? Do you want to pull up the... Or I could drive and we'll try and do a VS Code cursor sharing thingy.
Yeah, sounds good.
Do that. All right, let me try and do that. Actually, I did notice the other day that my VS Code setup seemed to have rotted over the Christmas break and was throwing errors, so it might be that we can't do it from my machine. Let's see, there was some
Let's hope not.
horrible red messages down the bottom right here coming up. It looks happy right now, doesn't it? So let's go here. Let's go here. I'll just whip it off the screen in case it shows any kind of URLs that shouldn't get shared. Yeah, invitation link copy to clipboard. So I'm going to put that in a Slack DM to you two. And Kate, no one's expecting you to type, but I just want you to feel free to if you want to. Emmanuel, hola, okay, so we can expect 5 minutes or so of faffing around now, trying to make sure everybody can get into the live share. If you haven't got VS Code, Kate, then probably don't bother trying to do this today, but we can do this, set this up on a one-to-one another time if you want.
Yeah, I've got VS Code, so I'm familiar with it.
Well, try following the link and see if you can get in. What should happen is that you two will appear here as participants, and then you get a cursor you can move around the code base on my machine.
If I open it in Visual Studio Code, would that be the same, or must it be in the web? Because it's giving me options.
Oh, you should I would open it on VS Code on your machine.
Yes.
It should let you do that. It's new that they run VS Code on the web as well, so you have that option.
That's pretty cool.
What, that you can run VS Code?
That means you don't have to... Is it a cloud? Because then you wouldn't need to... Oh, but I don't have Git and everything else installed, so I would not be able to get it running. I wouldn't be able to get the code.
I don't know,
Maybe.
because what you're doing when you're using live share is you're really just working in the files that are on my machine. So I'm sharing the files from my machine with you two, so you two can type in those files. Are you getting in all right, Demi?
Yeah. I'm just fetching and pulling and all that. It's been a while since I've been in this code base.
But again, if you click on that link, the live share link, you shouldn't need to fetch and pull, because you should be... I've got some files there that I don't need. Let's get rid of them. Let's check I can run the tests.
Okay.
local Node.js 16.0.0. Did either of you see the? Oh, Kate, you were at the committers meeting on Thursday. Demi, did you see the thing about the colors library?
No, what was that?
There's a quite a well-used library for doing console colors in the JavaScript ecosystem, and the guy who maintains it kind of lost his temper about not getting paid.
Oh,
some
yeah,
not giving him money, and he made a patch release of it that just, instead of doing what it's supposed to do, just went into an infinite loop and just scribbled nonsense all over the screen.
No, yeah, I heard about that. There was actually quite a bit of chatter around that, and like, even if you're upset about like folks not paying you and all that, like that doesn't help anyone, at least in the entire open source community, just to jeopardize like a well-used project.
No, I mean
but as he does,
I don't know this individual, but it did seem like they'd kind of maybe gone over the edge of some mental health issues, really.
Mm-hmm. Are they the solo
bigger
dev on
than
that
just
project,
that.
or solo maintainer on that project?
I don't know how much other help they were getting, but I think it was their project. Yeah, I think they were probably mostly a solo maintainer. Yeah.
Mine is saying waiting for host approval because I went anonymous.
Okay. I don't see a prompt on screen here for how where I can approve you.
Then I'll just observe, which is perfect.
Okay.
But I really like this. I didn't know you could do this.
It's super cool I mean, it can be a little bit chaotic for mobbing, actually. If you've got, everybody can type at the same time, you have to be a little bit disciplined about who is typing, because I've been in an ensemble where one person was speaking and explaining their idea, and another person was implementing their different idea at the same time, and it was like very chaotic and confusing.
But isn't there a different role? One is the driver, and the only person that can...
The humans have to be disciplined enough to enforce that. But what can happen in this environment, because if you've got a constraint that only one person can type at a time, then that enforces that way of working. But it's actually really helpful sometimes if you've decided to do something that just requires lots of typing, that everybody can muck in and sort of make those changes at the same time, and then you come back and run the tests. But and it also just makes it very fluid for changing who's driving. So I'm just running the test now to check everything's all right locally, and then we could get started. Or maybe while the tests are running, we could do a search for a use of any that we could start on.
Yeah, that sounds good, reasonable.
If there's a better way to search than that. We search like
it doesn't follow you into the search thing.
Okay, so you have to look at my screen share for that.
Yeah.
So I suppose we could just work our way through the search results top to bottom, and the first one is in CCK spec, where it's looking at a list of messages. But I don't know what that array. So we've got an array of messages being passed to this normalize function that, and also being returned from it. So presumably there's a type for the messages. Oh look, yeah, so we've got like messages.envelope.
Yeah.
So can we type, where is this function used? That is the definition. Where's find all references, I guess. Actual messages equals normalize. Raw output split filter. So is this? Like JSON parse. So they are just JSON documents, right?
Yeah.
We can't. So this is like right at the edge of the system where we've received some messages, and
it's parsing them.
Yeah. So we don't know yet what type they are because we've literally just turned them from raw strings into into JSON object, into JavaScript objects. So any's quite a good type for them, but there might be something tighter than that we can use. So what do we use actual messages for next once we've got it out? Oh, so this is a test, right? So
yeah.
Oh look, so expected messages is a messages.envelope array. So you would think that if we're deep equaling the two, we could at least say that actual messages would be a bunch of messages
envelope, yeah.
I wonder if it'll let us do that even though it knows that they're just JSON parsed. Should we try it? At least try it on the way out. So so it doesn't like this. Oh, is that because of my?
So you didn't close the.
It's my linting. I have to do npm lint auto fix. Oh, can you remember? Is it like that?
I usually have the thing you showed me. Control, is it Command Shift R or something? I forget.
Oh yeah,
that didn't do it.
I don't know. I think my editor is doing it wrong, and I actually started a discussion with David about this because he uses WebStorm and we've all been using VS Code, and the project's kind of configured to work well for WebStorm but not so well for VS Code. But I haven't got my head around what all that is yet. But look, it's put loads of semicolons in that it doesn't want to have. Let me try and remember how to use the lint auto fix. Maybe it's that.
Yeah.
Really slows you down, stuff like this. I will go away and fix this. Well, this is taking its time, isn't it? All right.
Here we go.
So does it like that typing is the other question. I haven't got anything in my problems view, which is positive. It's quite a slow feedback loop to run a whole. I think maybe I could run npm run. We could run npm build local because that'll do a TSC, that's TypeScript compilation. So if we do that, that should be enough to check whether it compiles and then that the types are all right. And we can run the tests kind of like before we do a commit.
Sounds good. Because the test does take quite some time, so.
Because what?
The test does take quite some time.
Yeah. Okay.
It looks like that worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So it's happy to let us And what does that do? That function normalize message output. Oh look, so that's expecting
messages.envelope,
so
a bunch of envelope objects.
and it returns messages.envelope anyway. So
Yeah. So this was the right approach.
yeah, and kind of these should be messages.envelope too then. Oh man.
Yeah, since we're just normalizing them and we're not doing anything really changing what it is. Oh, that was a pretty neat, easy fix.
Yeah. I'm still a little bit disturbed that it's letting us just post any old JSON.parse in as a typed as messages.envelope. That it isn't, because you could pass something in there that wasn't that shape, but it's really tricky this with TypeScript because there isn't any guarantee, right, that object that you've parsed will be that shape, but that's a runtime check. You can't know until runtime is actually parsing strings and passing them around, and this is all there's like two, because TypeScript gets compiled down to JavaScript, so the compilation and the analysis of all of the types only happens at compilation time, and by the time it's actually running and actually passing strings through, it hasn't got the types on there anymore because it's in JavaScript. So you end up,
so it could run into problems then.
It could, but the only thing we could do here would be to actually start validating that the objects in here had the same structure, like a runtime check, and because this isn't, I don't think that's that dangerous because we didn't have types on here before, so we weren't checking then, and then we were just starting to pass them into some bits that did have types. So there's a kind of like, maybe what we could say here is
some type of test or something.
and then that gets us off the hook, I think.
Yeah.
Worry about it later. So let me see if I can add Hulk Hogan. Didn't know they were contributing to Cucumber. You're probably too young to know who that is, aren't you?
I actually do. I used to be really into wrestling when I was younger.
Did you?
Yeah.
And Kate, you're not in here. I want to put you in because even though you're just paying attention. So do you know that you can do this, Kate? When you're committing to Git, you can write a little. So when you write your commit message, so what are we gonna say here? We're gonna replace. And it's part of number. What's the ticket number that we're working on? Yay, it's Blaise!
Hey, folks.
Hi, Blaise. Happy New
Hey.
Year. Kate, what's your surname?
Sorry, I'm late.
Dames. Is that how we say it? Is it Dames or Dames?
Yes. It doesn't matter. Originally Dames, because I'm actually Afrikaans, but Dames is good. I don't really care about things like that.
Okay. And I have your email in here.
Kate. Yeah.
Is it an okay email to use? Do you have a GitHub account?
Yep, I do.
And is this the email address you use for that GitHub account?
No.
You'll associate your avatar with it, so that's why.
No.
Right.
I'll have to find it.
We've switched Blaise to doing the ticket about replacing uses of the any type. That's what we've.
Oh, right on.
More interested in doing today.
Yeah, yeah. Cool.
How have you been?
Busy. I've got a new job, and it's
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's actually kind of amazing because I have a rather unusual set of skills, and this job gives me an opportunity to use them, which is
Awesome. So what is your, I'm curious, what's your skills then? I don't know how to get the email address of this. I will need to send it to you. So just, yes.
Yeah. So just the thing I wanted to call out is if you are ensembling on code in Git, if you use this little footer thing in the commit message, co-authored by, GitHub recognizes it, and what you'll see is why is that taking so long?
Gonna keep a lookout for that. I'm gonna look out for that. Oh wait. Oh, where are you committing this to? Your main, yeah.
My main. Oh, I shouldn't really be doing that.
Yeah.
I should be making a pull request.
wrong for
Right. Right.
Okay. I wonder why it's getting stuck here though.
Does anyone have like, so I know I ran into source control problems recently with if it's you're trying to make a commit that exposes like my email or something. I turned on that setting a while ago, but I turned it off now. So I don't know if
it's used this.
that does not expose my yeah.
Oh, look.
You can up.
Oh, it's something to do. Oh, I know. I've been getting this lately. Where I'll use it on the command line, and it allows us to fix the branching problem, which I should have thought about before.
Yeah.
So I'm going to check out -b, and I'm going to call my branch 1648 replace.
Wow, that really updates. That really increases the complexity of committing if we have to sign the commits. I mean, it's good, but it's
yeah. Well, so I had something set up that would do it automatically, but it seems to have stopped. I thought it was maybe just like something had expired and I needed to do it once, but it seems to have done it 2 or 3 times in the last few days. So anyway, let me make the commit.
Quick note. I'm so glad I got into this last year because it made making PRs at work so much easier. Like with all the stuff I'd learned from this.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. This is like what they don't teach you in school.
Right.
So we've lost the co-authored by Kate bit, but I've kept it in my copy-paste buffer, so that's good.
I have mine twice.
It's fine. I'm not really co-authoring in any case. So.
Now, yeah. So see, it's gonna and it couldn't do this through the GUI, I guess, in VS Code. So I need to get.
Oh, about that, GitHub has like this whole thing now where they're doing a brownout for like some specific SSH encryption types.
Oh, do you think that's what's happening to me here?
No,
Probably.
that looks. It looks okay. He's got a fort. Well. Oh, you're using RSA.
Oh, it worked out. It worked out.
Yeah.
Did I go too fast? Did you want to see what was going on? Because
No, it's fine.
It's fine.
I would love some help with why it's asking me for that when I make commits at the moment. I think I need.
Oh,
to
well,
figure it out.
So you probably have to add your SSH key to your agent.
But this is
and
a GPG key for signing my Git commits. That's what that error was about. and
You
I
can't.
had something
Yeah.
set up to auto sign them, but it seems to be broken this week, but I don't know why.
Okay.
Yeah, it may be related to that because Xcode ran into the same problem, and it literally happened overnight as well. Like January 11th was the cutoff date to use those encryption types. So like the January 10th, I used Xcode to do something with source control, and it was perfectly fine. And then the 11th, my SSH key stopped working, and didn't let me do anything again. So maybe it's worth like going over some of those security or
You might, yeah. If they've revoked a key, you might need to like renew something.
Yeah. Well, I can still use the key. It's just that I have to
Yeah,
copy and
but you-
paste it in
Oh.
rather than it knowing what it is automatically. But I feel like that's the kind of thing I don't want to waste the mob's time
No.
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
out of band.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I mean, I suppose we could all learn something if we did dig into it. But, so I've pushed the commit. So we should now be able to go to, and we should see it mentioned in this ticket, right? Here. But if I go to the home page of the project, we can make a pull request.
VIP pull request, or like is this
Say again, Demi.
is like a work in progress pull request, or
I
like
don't
is this
know. I
the
mean, this one does one thing, doesn't it?
all right. Sounds
it's
good.
yeah.
We could keep pushing more changes to this, though.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So we could leave it as draft, and then and we can just say for the motivation, we can just say C. What's the ticket again? 16.
Oh,
16,
brilliant.
28.
I can stay longer. This guy had to reschedule.
Oh, cool. I'll send you the. Or could one of you two DM Blaise the VS Code link so he can get in the.
Oh, you guys are. Oh, sure. You're pair programming? Yeah. Perfect.
I'll do it.
Change uses of any type to use specific types. Type of change. This is a refactoring change, so we'll get rid of all these others. Note to other contributors. I don't think we need any other notes to contributors. I don't think we need to update the docs. Yes, we've read the contributing document. Yes, it follows the code style. And we're not going to add tests, but they will be there already. I don't think we need to change documentation. And we're going to need to put something in the changelog, I suppose, just to, not that we're changing behavior, but just in case we broke anything. So let's leave that there so we remember to do it when the time comes. Is that I'm just driving here? Is that okay with everyone? What I've done to that pull request template?
Yeah.
Should have been somebody else doing it, not me.
No, you're right. I can drive if you want, or Femi, or whatever.
I've just sent you the link.
Thank
I
you.
think.
Perfect.
So I'll make this a draft one, Demi, and then we can keep on adding to it.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, I was thinking that.
It's less wasteful of pull requests. So look, I just want to show you the thing, right? So we use the co-authors thing. See here, it's showing. Unfortunately, it doesn't recognize your email address, Kate. So you've just got this like anonymous GitHub user, but it shows that 3 people made the commit, which is pretty cool. And if we'd have used an email address that matched your GitHub account, then it would be then it would be showing your avatar as well. Okay, well, should we try and pick off another one then? You've got 10
Sounds
minutes
good.
left, Demi, haven't you?
Yes.
I can stay if that's useful.
Yeah, that's great. Are you in?
It's still trying to load.
List yet.
No.
Well, I'm going to hands off now. How about you drive for the next one, Demi?
There was just a
Alright.
pop-up on the bottom right on your screen, Matt, that
Oh.
said Blaise requested.
Oh, no. I don't
Yeah.
see it now.
Okay.
Can you
I'll
try
open it
again?
again. Oh.
Yeah, you're not in this list, unfortunately.
I can try connecting again.
Yeah, I think you better had. It seems to have disappeared.
Okay.
Oh, is this live share chat? Oh, look at that.
Ooh,
We've got a session chat.
What just happened? You folks still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
I
you.
can hear you.
All right, that's good enough. Then.
If you find a file, Demi, you can you see this little like megaphone button up here on the top right of your screen? Right. Okay,
Yes.
here's Blaise.
there we go. Ha,
Yeah,
Brilliant.
you're in. Yeah, Demi,
figured.
do you see the megaphone button up here on the right?
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
find a file that's got another any type in and you press that button, we'll all shoot over to where you are.
All right. There's some in right where we are right now.
Oh, is there? In that CCK spec, was there another one?
Yeah.
Show me.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I don't see one yet. Where are we looking at?
Oh wait, shoot. Never mind. I guess my thing then. Update. So, okay. I don't know if this counts. But yeah, I'll just.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that counts.
It does.
Okay.
Now that's interesting. So this is an idiom in TypeScript where, because you have this, which is a
Mhm.
reference in JavaScript to the object
Right.
that the function is running in.
Yeah.
Because you can pass functions around it. This can be different things, and in TypeScript there's an idiom where you can pass this in as the first parameter to a function, which you wouldn't normally do in TypeScript. Like normally it's just implicitly there. In JavaScript, sorry, you wouldn't normally do it, but in TypeScript you can do this, and then it allows you to cast this type as a particular type. So
Mhm.
we're using any because it was a JavaScript code base beforehand, and that's very fluid. So it allows us to just go this dot count and expect it's going to be there. But we actually want to, or we can cast that as a particular type. I'm trying to work out where we are. So we're in a
Examples tables.
Tables.
compatibility folder.
Yeah, compatibility.
I don't even know what this compatibility. Oh, it's a CCK spec, right? So is this just one set of step definitions that's going to get loaded in one go? So what we could do is make a type for the world and then use it instead of any. So it would just have to be a type that has a count property, which is probably an integer. Does anybody know how to do that in TypeScript?
I don't use TypeScript that often.
So you just literally
I don't use TypeScript ever.
type, yeah, and then a space, and then name the type. So we could just call it context or world, yeah, and then you open squiggly brackets.
Oh, I see. And then you put in the properties.
There, you're going to say count : integer, because we have one property in that type, and it's this little I. Oh, number. Sorry, we say number in TypeScript, don't we? Yeah, that should be it. And it doesn't
There's
like some of the bracket
world
spacing there.
an equal sign or something, or a colon.
Oh, okay, sorry, yeah. It's if we used interface, then we wouldn't have done that. And then that's it. Yeah.
Sweet.
All right.
Ooh.
Why is it complaining about that?
there are int
Oh, it wants us
cucumbers.
to put a carriage return for prettier. Shall I just run the linter?
Yeah, sure.
And that might have to be my last contribution if I had to go.
Okay. I can drive if you like.
Great.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
Do you
What
want
do you want me to do? What
have
do
a
you want?
search around and find another another instance of the any type?
Yeah, let's see. Find all ref. Oh, okay. Hang on a second. I actually should be looking for find any.
Okay, here we go. So commit this one.
Oh, I need to find it. It was a little too global. It's coming up in the comments too. Oh, so it should really be any. Let's see, colon any?
Yeah, I
No,
would search for colon.
colon space
yeah.
any. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like colon space
So
any, yeah, like that, like the way we've got colon space number here. Yeah,
colon
good.
space any. This any table compatibility. Oh, data tables. Oh, it's going to be in a lot of things. Okay, fine. So we'll do this then. Data tables. Oh, wait a minute. Data tables.
Oh, Blaise, tell me you're just blaise@gmail.com, aren't you? You cool guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I've got Kate's here. Oh.
Oh.
What is the ticket number? Can anyone help me remember the ticket number? Is it 1648 like I think it is? Yeah, we're on branch 1648. Yeah, good. Yeah, this is annoying.
Demi posted a message to say that he dropped it in the Slack channel.
That's great. So we can have a look at that after. So Blaise, have you found another one then?
Yes. Do I have to define it in every file?
Well,
Yeah. Do I have to
I
define?
don't know how these work actually, and we should have run the tests to check after I made
Because
the change. I don't know whether these are all using this. We need to have one shared world type, or whether they get run individually. My suspicion is that they're individual, so we can just define them in each.
Okay.
In each thing. So it looks like, yeah. And it looks like transposed is probably a data table. No, it has a property called transposed, right? You can see it on line 10 where we do this dot transpose.
Oh, I see. Oh, right. It's not a. Oh, actually, if you think about it, I can't do world then.
Yeah, no, you can use world. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fine. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
All right.
But,
so you're saying it's
it has a property called transposed. You can see it being used on line
Yes.
10 and line 15.
Yes.
So that's the first thing you need to define is that the type world has a property called transposed.
Okay.
And then you can colon that and say that that is a data table. And I think that.
Oh, I see. Got it. Got it. Okay. Now it's all. Yeah, I'm more of a Python guy. So which is no excuse because they're starting to do a lot of this in Python as well.
I think you need to use a capital D, like as being, yeah, there you go. So I think that's right now. The linter just wants you to remove line 6 because it's spurious. Maybe we could add a line, blank line 7.
Yeah, of course.
And then on line 15, yeah, here we go. Yeah. So shall I run the tests and just check we're all good?
Yeah.
We didn't run them on the last commit, did we? I sort of feel like when you're changing compiler things, the compiler will tell you if you've got anything wrong, but you never know with TypeScript. So how long do you two have? I probably have another half hour. I think. That's
Yeah,
what we have in the diary.
I'm good.
Is that good? Yeah.
I'm good for half an hour. Yeah,
Look at the
no
beauty
problem.
of mobbing that we just get to keep going when Demi drops out.
I know, this is great.
How many uses of the any type did you find when you did the search, Blaise?
81.
Whoa.
2 down, 79 to go.
Yeah, I know, right? I think, well, yeah.
I wonder how many of them are just in these CCK ones.
Uh,
Oh, look, that one is
no,
using it,
actually, they're kind of all over the place.
That's weird.
Do you want me to open up another one?
This start tax, right? Well, I suppose we shouldn't try and like get too distracted. I'm terrible for that. Like,
No, okay.
thinking of the next thing before we've even finished the current thing.
Oh, the test is still running. I
Yeah,
see.
it is, yeah. It's really slow.
By the way, I'm setting up my home lab again after quite a long hiatus, and I have quite a bit of hardware. So if anyone wants to do like benchmarks or build, crazy builds, so
What kind of hardware are we talking about? Like Raspberry Pis or something else?
no, these are old Cisco. These were basically virtualization servers that a bank that were left over from an upgrade. So one of them's got well, actually they both have 40 cores and 64 gig of RAM, and then a few terabytes of storage.
Right. What are you gonna do with it?
Honestly, I was originally just going to be set up like Minecraft and Factorio server for my son.
Yeah, that's a good
and
idea.
so he could play with his friends. But I think now with my new job, I might also host a GitLab server and do some experiments with automation, CI/CD automation. Basically, the company that hired me is trying to switch from a consulting service to software as a service. And so they need to, among other things, come up with a development pipeline.
Right, what are you going to run the development pipeline on your hardware at home?
No, it's easier for me to get to set up clusters on my own hardware than to have to bother the ops people when if I just want to try something out.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So
facility.
Yeah. So if I run Kubernetes, for example, on one of these machines, then I can have multiple environments like stage and dev and prod and try things in different ways.
So that's
without
it looks
trouble.
like that one just failed.
Oh.
With a timeout because I ran it again and it didn't fail. So I think
why is it done?
My super duper M1 Mac.
Oh wow!
Is still going a bit slowly with all of the streaming and whatnot that's going on.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll set up GitLab, and then I have a reverse proxy set up through flyctl. Do you know about Fly? It's a really nice service, actually. They have flyctl. They're a bit like DigitalOcean, but they specialize in what's the word? Like globally distributed entry points. the DNS records will resolve to the nearest data center rather than a specific geographic region. So, so basically, Kate, the reason my background is a little bit unusual, or my skill set is a bit unusual, is because I started in network operations like 30 years ago, and then ended up spending like 20 years supporting salespeople and doing mostly security products. And then a few years ago, 7 or 8 years ago, through a series of really strange accidents, I ended up going back into software development and becoming a release manager. Now, I was a terrible release manager, but I learned a lot. So now I'm a product manager for a company that wants to set up a SaaS solution. And it's unusual for product managers to actually know how to use the tools that their engineers are using.
Yes.
So one of the reasons that I want to set this up is because these guys they've never really worked in a containerized environment. And they've not done much with automated testing. So what I find myself doing is when they say, oh, we don't know how to do this, then I'll give them an example of like, well, here's an example of how you could do it, for example, and if you want to change it, feel free.
That is pretty unusual. I would never expect security, networks, and product management in the same, and
Human being.
sales.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And open source
And so
as well.
Yeah, and ironically, it becomes extremely difficult to get people to hire you.
Yes.
When you know all those things.
Yes.
Because they don't know what to do with all the extra stuff. And so it's this perverse situation where people who need me would have no idea how to find, but like what search terms do you use? 007? I don't know. And then
I understand that problem. I sit with exactly the same problem. I don't fit into a normal label, and there's all these labels, and people don't understand any other labels. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I'm just like me.
Yeah. I think it almost seems
and I'm not like other people.
The longer you go through your career and the more experience you pick up, if you're one of these people, and I'm a bit like that as well, that wants to try different things out, and you get a load of breadth of experience, but then you can't just easily, like if you were 26 and you've just been doing TypeScript for 5 years since you graduated, it's easy, isn't it? Like, I'm a TypeScript developer. That's the only thing I could be qualified to do. So you can slap an easy label on that. But yeah, the longer you've been in your career, if you're trying different things out, the harder it is. I saw this funny thing yesterday. Somebody was tweeting about how Toyota apparently has a 1% staff turnover.
Yeah, I bet.
And they were saying about how, like, what would that look like if a tech company only had 1% staff turnover? And some people are obviously like, well, it would be stagnant and boring. But somebody pointed out, and I think this is fairly accurate, is that, like, if you're a software developer working at a software company, like, you have very transferable skills, and it's quite easy for you to get another job somewhere else. If you work at Toyota and you know the inside out of the Toyota Camry gearbox design, it's probably quite difficult for you to get a job somewhere else anyway, isn't it?
No, but I've studied the methodology behind Toyota a lot, and they are all about people development. I think that's why people are happy there, because respect is kind of like built into their DNA. And if you feel respected and if you are feeling valued, then why would you want to leave? The only reason I usually leave is because I get bored and people don't want to move me into a different role or a different project, or I don't feel respected.
No, I agree. I think that's going to have a huge amount to do with it there.
But I can believe it. I love Toyota. I think Toyota is probably, or to me, they're my Bible more than anything else, because they're the only one that looks at the whole system as an ecosystem. All the others just look at Scrum, or just look at this, or just look at that. They actually look at it as a whole.
They also innovated a lot in this. Like, they're not copying other people. They they made a lot of it
Yes.
up just due to their own internal culture, which is really
Yeah.
cool.
I love
Although,
them.
as somebody was
Everything
pointing out
about
in
them.
that thread, they are pretty resistant to electric vehicles and doing quite a lot of not fossil fuel, but sort of lobbying
Yeah.
in the wrong direction about green issues, which is a bit sad to hear.
Mm.
It is sad.
They're
Yeah.
not the same anymore. I mean, I studied the old Toyota. I don't
Mhm.
think they are the same anymore, but
Mhm.
it's still a cool company, I think, and you can still learn a lot about it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for electric cars, self-driving cars, actually, and electric versus, I don't know. Is it not just shifting the problem?
Well, so first of all, I do my own car maintenance, and so I'm really familiar with internal combustion engines, and I have a huge investment in tools. And my wife bought a Tesla Model 3 a couple of years ago, and it is an amazing car.
Mm.
It is an absolutely amazing
I'm
car.
pretty sure,
It's
because
mind-blowing.
yes, because Elon Musk is pretty good at solving hard problems,
Yeah.
But you
It-
can't
whereas
do
everybody
maintenance
else
on
is
that
just
Tesla, I
copying
suppose.
everybody else.
You can't do maintenance
Oh.
on that Tesla, I suppose.
No, exactly. So all
Not
of my
yet.
investment in tools
Mm.
is just, and I'm willing to, in other words, I have had to think long and hard about how willing am I to give up my power of repair and my familiarity with the vehicle. Like, I know exactly I drove it across country. It has 240,000 miles on it, and I drove it across country with 2 dogs, and my wife drove the Tesla.
That's so cool.
I'm sorry, I drove my Toyota, my Prius. I drove across country. The Tesla is much newer. It doesn't have nearly that kind of mileage. But what I have noticed is that electricity is a more fungible form of energy. So you can make electricity from a wider number of things than
Yes.
gasoline.
Mm.
And
Yes.
you can also package it in different ways. So in a sense, it's a more
Yes.
flexible, it's more malleable form of energy.
True.
And
Just the
so
infrastructure isn't there yet to support it.
it's the infrastructure. Well, in the US, which has very shitty infrastructure,
Mm.
in the US, it's
I'm
actually
an
getting,
Afrik.
oh,
You've
but
got
you have
great.
you have 240 volts, right?
I guess. I don't know. I'm a girl. I don't know those kind of stuff.
Okay, so most of the world runs 220 volts, which is a good amount of current. It's much better than what the US runs, 120 volts, which
Okay.
is very little current, and it takes quite a long time to charge a car if you plug it into a conventional US wall outlet.
Tim Bray
Anyway,
Tim Bray did a very interesting blog post about, because he's been using electric vehicles for a few years now, and he writes about his experience with it from time to time. He lives in Vancouver, where the streets are very steep and sometimes covered in snow, and it was about how he could handle that. But he did a cross country trip, and he wrote about his experience of how much time he had to spend sitting about waiting for his vehicle to charge up versus how much time he spent driving, and the close shaves of
Yes.
running out of power altogether, trying to drive
Yes.
across Canada. It's a really interesting post.
Oh, I'm sure, actually. We were lucky that we had charging stations at fairly regular intervals.
Are you trying to change one, Blaise?
Yeah, did you want me to do it? Because I thought your test ran.
Let's keep going. So we're doing one in this other feature.
Parameter types. Unknown parameter types.
Can I ask a
that-
stupid question? Why did you choose world?
So wait a sec.
I don't know.
Okay, so two things. Wait a sec. So this isn't going to be world here. This parameter, because this isn't this. This is the argument here of airport.
Got it.
And actually, we don't know what airport is, and we don't really care. So we can use there's a special type called unknown, I think, in JavaScript that I think we could use here in TypeScript.
Okay.
Sorry. So this isn't quite the same pattern as the other ones that we've been doing. And then I'll answer Kate's question. Let's just test that out.
So it's a good thing that I asked that then.
Thank you.
Yeah. We could lose line 3. It looks like it doesn't like that. So I think that's going to be all right. Let's run the build. That one. Yeah. So the world is it's a metaphor. When each of these scenarios, let me just find one so I can show you what I mean, Kate. So we're like, if you look at the way these specs for Cucumber are organized, and this is kind of meta, right? This can be a bit confusing to hit at first, because these are the scenarios that Cucumber uses to test itself.
Okay.
So its
Cool.
steps, like say given a file name blah, are actually writing out other Cucumber specifications. So this is a little bit like going, you know, Alice in Wonderland. But each one of these scenarios is like an independent example, an independent test case. And so what Cucumber does is it creates an object when it's running all of these tests. There might be hundreds of these scenarios in the whole test suite across all of the feature files. It runs each of the scenarios it creates a new object to run the scenario in. So if it drops any state, like we saw earlier with this one where it says this.count equals, this object here is only going to live as long as that scenario is being executed. And then when we get onto this next scenario, it's all gone because it's in a brand new object. So we make sure that we don't ever have state like leaking between one step, one test and another, so that they don't start to depend on one another or anything. And yeah, the metaphor that we used way back when Cucumber was first getting created for that object that's created for each scenario is the world. So it's like the scenario runs in a world. And then at the end of each scenario, we throw away the world and we make a new world.
Okay.
So it's just a metaphor.
I see. So it's a Cucumber metaphor, not a Java, not a TypeScript thing.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Exactly.
That's great.
Yeah.
Good.
And you could call it context or scenario context or something more boring like that. But world's the sort of... But maybe it would make more sense if you didn't have that context of why is it called the world. Maybe it wouldn't have.
No, the reason why I'm asking is world is usually like hello world, which is kind of like the whole thing. And that's why I was wondering why everything, but it's not really everything. It's just a scenario world.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to commit this one as well because this looks good. I'm going to see if I can get these to come in my...
Only 77 to go.
Oh yeah, but they're actually kind of a bit different. So for example, here, if we go over to usage JSON steps. Imported class world. Oh, I see. Okay, got it. There's a class world and there's a world, whatever, type.
Yeah, so there's a standard world that you get from Cucumber that you can also import, but this one here, so where are we now?
We're now in
usage JSON steps.
Yeah.
In sidebar. So we're in
Step
Cucumber's
definition.
own features. So we've created a custom world here. So if we go to that file, this is so we made a really simple one before, right, with count on it, and then there was another one transposed or something on it. Well, this is the one that Cucumber uses in its own step definition. So this is quite a big one with all of these different properties on it, like the temporary directory where it's running the tests and some flags about whether you're going to spawn in a separate process, whether we want to do debugging. And there's even some methods on here as well that we can run. Or at least one or two, parse string and run. So the world can get quite rich.
I see. Okay.
But actually the row here is something else, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a data table row.
Yeah. And I suppose it depends on what's in that row. So
Does it though? Isn't it just an array? Oh, I don't know.
No. So do you see how it's called hashes here? So let's find an example where it uses this. It outputs the usage data. If we search for that.
Okay.
So you can see here, so it's got these columns. And when you call hashes on the table, what you get is an array of objects where there's a key of pattern with a value of step A, key of pattern type with a value of Cucumber expression, a key of URI with that, and so on. And then there'll be another object with the same key and with this value, and then this value and this value. So if we're going to define a type for this row, we need these as the keys.
God. Okay.
So
it's like string, comma, string, comma, string.
Yeah. So shall I try and type it out? So
yeah. No, I can take it. I'll type it.
If we call it maybe usage row.
Just
paste those in, and then you can try and tidy it up.
Okay.
So it's going to have those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 properties, and each of them is going to be a string, I would guess.
Okay.
You can see here how it's reading them off, right? Like pattern, pattern type, and so on.
So I basically am defining the type of for each of these columns. Oh boy, number of matches.
It's funny how they've got an underscore in that one, but not in this one.
But not in this one. Yeah.
Should we fix that? If we go into the formatter, we have to fix it in the feature file as well, so we could put underscores in here if you're watching.
Oh, I see.
That's all right. We can let's be brave and do that because it's consistent.
Yeah.
So you can get rid of the quotes around it.
Okay.
And then we'll have to change it down here where it gets used.
Oops.
Do you see that?
Down here. Yes.
So we can just change that into another dot one now rather than looking it up on the object. So it doesn't still quite like this. So for each of these properties, we need to close the parens here. That's one thing it's complaining about. For each of these properties, we need to give it a type. So I think it's going to be just parsed as strings for each of them. Yeah.
This being VS Code, I should probably just do like a multi-colon column selection.
If you knew how to do that. Yeah, I don't, I'm afraid.
Yeah, there's a special control key. I don't know what it would be in this. It doesn't like the commas.
Yeah, maybe you don't need them.
Oh, okay.
Because this isn't an object, this is a type definition, so it's slightly different.
Oh, I see. Okay, okay, fair enough. Oh, right, and
we lost the.
oops. No, I got it. I got it. I'll fix that there. Okay.
So now we should be able to apply that type in line.
Except it doesn't like. Is this where it says usage row? It's got a recommendation. It doesn't like the capital, or
no? It's great because we're not using it anywhere.
I see.
If we use it on line 17, it'll stop complaining about that.
Okay.
Now something's wrong with number of matches. What's wrong there? Oh. Okay, so the other ones we've done parse int on them. I think I don't know how we got away with that before.
Length of.
So let's do parse int around that. because it's
I
expected to
see.
get a number there. I think because it was any, it probably something
Ah.
JavaScript let us get away with comparing a string of a number with an actual number.
Right.
But this is one of the good things about types. It's made it
Or well, hang on. We could change number of matches to an int.
Yeah, but I think we'd be lying to ourselves, but we'd be deluding ourselves because the hashes function here doesn't know
Yeah.
that particular column has got numbers in it, so it will just give us a string with.
Ah, I
with the
see.
number in it.
Right.
Because there could be
I
anything
see.
in here. You could say two,
Right. I see.
two cakes, and
Okay.
and it will still parse it. So I think they're going to start out as strings. Oops.
Okay.
So we probably need to just stick to that. Okay, that looks good to me. Let's. Oh my. So we could run the npm run feature test, and I think that will run just these tests. Save us a little bit of time. We're just going to be there to get a commit in before the end of time. We haven't had a chance to have a retro, so should we do a 2-minute retro while we're just running the tests and?
Sure.
Maybe take Kate, because you can contribute to this definitely as well, because you've been observing.
Yes,
You've
for
probably
sure.
seen more than any of us, because you've been pulled in a bit less.
What do you think went well?
Are you putting Kate on the spot right now?
I'm thinking, what did go well? I like the screen sharing very much. It's the first time that I've experienced that. And I also like that it's really small changes. So it's something that you can do, like you took over from Emmanuel. So even though he left and you were late, there was continuity, which I really liked.
Yeah.
And I liked to talk about cars. That was pretty cool. And I like the explanation of the world, because that to me is very simple, but it's kind of like it gives me more insight into the whole project. So it's great. I really like that. So do you want to go on the
Is there
lights,
anything that-
Blaise?
Well, I was going to say, did you notice anything that you think we should do differently or that needs to change?
But should we first do a round of positives before we go into that, or
No,
do you
it
want me
doesn't.
to?
Everything's positive. It's all positive. But yeah, if you like, sure. Even the improvements are positive. I think that.
Kate, if I missed anything as I'm writing it down, can you see what I'm writing down here?
Yes.
Oh, that looks great. Yeah. So I think the screen
and the world
sharing is.
explanation, Matt. Sorry.
Oh, the world explanation.
I knew I'd missed one. I was busy trying to type it.
So I think the world explanation was hugely valuable. I've not seen that. I mean, I'm not an advanced student of Cucumber, but I've not seen that referred to anywhere. So the model of Cucumber, I think the Cucumber ecosystem in general struggles defining the levels of abstraction to newcomers.
That's exactly the problem that I want to solve, because dependencies came up yesterday as well. And I want to visualize that in some kind of visual.
Yes. And I think that there's some, if you're interested, I can go into that more deeply sometime. But yeah, it's something that I've thought about at length, and I've had conversations with Aslak about where some of the boundaries could be more clearly delineated. So
I would really like to flesh that out.
While you two are talking, I'm just going to commit the change that we just made.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
Yeah, I think it's also I think that worked well. Having the such a clear objective. And it was also, I think, useful that it was an objective that we could find many similar yet different examples of. And so it was the shifting the context from one instance to another was very easy and small. And yeah, so I think it's even though it might have seemed repetitive at first when we saw like 81 hits, we noticed that in fact there were some notable differences.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if anything, that may be a more powerful opportunity or scenario for mobs.
And also for
Where you have-
beginners as well, I feel, because it gives you
Yeah.
confidence working like this, doesn't it? Because we've made loads of changes today.
Yes, it's true. The test, or we can talk about improvements later, but yeah, that's if you like.
So Matt, what was positive for you? What did you like?
I loved the overlap when Blaise arrived and then Demi left, and we just kept rolling. I loved that.
That was probably the highlight of the day. Yes.
Cool.
And like sorry, I'm trying to type and think and speak at the same time. Personally, for me, it's always a relief when I get enough people, because I never quite know on a Friday morning who's going to show, and so it was delightful when you arrived, Blaise, because I knew Demi was going to leave.
Yes.
Not that I didn't want to just work with Kate, but she's dead new to this and didn't really.
Well, we would have
didn't
ended.
Really want to type. Yeah. So yeah, it was really nice. Just to get enough people, and I just hope we can kind of keep on gathering momentum and having more people showing up for this. Because I think the other thing I appreciate, Kate, is that you showed up and just hung out. Because Blaise did that for a couple of weeks as well, and it's surprising, isn't it, how much you can. You're contributing now, right? It's surprising how much you can contribute just by being there and following along with the problem, and sometimes just pointing out things that people haven't noticed or whatever. So yeah.
The first two meetings, I think I barely said a word. The first two meetings, because I'm a
I
Python
know
guy.
my strengths and I know my weaknesses, so I'm pretty comfortable being uncomfortable. But I also know that I'll just waste everybody's time if I try and jump in now. I first need to learn. I need to learn the school stuff and get familiar with it. But it was really cool that I could join, so thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciated that. I don't really have anything else to say that I particularly noticed that I liked. It's just good to be keeping the momentum up. So, do you have any suggestions for things we could improve on?
So the one thing that I noticed that was kind of like, I think something that I particularly would be interested in improving is it took half an hour plus just to get started with the first thing. The setup and getting everybody, and to me that's just a waste of time. It would be great if there could just be one red button that you could push and it's like everything is like magically up and you can start sharing.
Yeah.
So a script that can run maybe in the background as a like just setting everything up beforehand, or
like a Git pod or something. I don't know if you know Git pod.
I don't know, but it sounds pretty awesome. I like dolphins.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
I think
part
you would
of
love
this is like I could have got up 15 minutes earlier and got a lot of that stuff set up already.
No, but we want to do it together. Otherwise, it's kind of like I'm a firm believer of it should be a time box, and what we should do together. Otherwise, all the responsibility lies with you. And if you're not there, then what? So that to me defies the purpose.
Yeah. The other thing is we probably spent 15 minutes just chatting, which is again
true. I like that.
Well, yeah, me too. Good. I hope you didn't feel like that was a waste of time, because I think it's important
No,
to sort of get everybody.
I think it's more important.
Yeah.
I think it's actually more important to build relationships than to do the work, because you will do it so much better once you get to know the people. That's why I actually said I like talking about cars, because the personal connection to me is really important.
Yeah. Let's highlight that.
I find that if people like each other, they are more likely to help each other, and they understand each other
Yeah.
better,
Yeah.
and they understand the other's thinking better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's more productive.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So yeah, maybe we could do something to slicken the setup though. There's also that thing of deciding what to do, which I sort of wish we could chat about during the week in Slack.
Well,
we
you
did a
don't know
bit.
who's going to pitch up.
It
I don't-
rarely happens.
Yeah, personally, I would start with spending next time, and I can commit to doing that, to see where do we spend our time, what is it actually, is
Oh,
it like,
fantastic.
and
Like
then we can
logging.
see, yes, like
That's-
a text, like this is what we do, and
Mhm.
then we can see out of that, maybe we can just automate one thing, and then we can next time automate one more thing, and we can do that as part of the session.
Yeah, so I think in classical mob programming, they have things like they have these roles like the navigator and the
Yes.
driver. So I don't know if this is formal or not, but for a couple of sessions, I was the scribe. So I would go off and like look stuff up and, go through the Git manuals and find, just do that kind of busy work so that people could continue. And so maybe something like that, to
Yes.
track how long things actually, target time versus actual time.
Yeah, there's a good.
And I would like that because it would make me feel productive, because then I can
Sure.
contribute something.
So this
That's
is a
why I did it,
worthwhile
yeah.
thing if we're talking about mob programming. William Larson, who's
Oh,
a great kind of mobbing coach,
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
has this,
Never heard of him.
This
Yes.
this Git repo here about a role-playing game for mobbing. And this
Yep.
is kind of like a way of teaching mobbing. But what I like about this is it highlights a bunch of different roles that you can take in a mob. So these are ways that these are sort of patterns of ways that you can be useful, even if you're not the one typing, or you're not the one sort of leading what is being typed. So he's organized this in here as a game that you can play. But actually, just reading these roles is interesting to think about.
Mm.
How can I be useful if I'm not the one that's typing? So you've got the archivist, which is probably, I haven't read this one, but this is probably what you were describing as the scribe. Or you're probably maybe a combination of the researcher and the archivist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. This is fantastic.
Any other?
Yeah, I like that.
Any other improvements or puzzles?
I would go for just one thing, because if there's a long list, then we'll not do anything in any case.
True.
So
Well,
I'll
I mean,
just stick with that one.
What's actionable is I just wondered if anybody wanted to get anything out and anything else out that they noticed. Might be good just to capture it, even if we don't decide to action it this week. I mean, I actually took an action, which was that the VS Code linting.
Yes, that's true.
On Matt's machine.
Yeah,
least.
and the GPG stuff. Your GPG keychain kept prompting you for passphrase.
Yeah, that was slowing us down, wasn't it? So those are both things I can fix. I actually hadn't written down the GPG keychain thing. I noticed that the test was slow as well. I thought that was a bit annoying.
Yeah, it felt like they were slow.
I mean, it was
for
what
such a
got
small
us talking
change.
about cars was waiting for the test. So
Yeah, chewing the fat.
So maybe it's beneficial to have slow tests.
I personally would like to just talk about cars because we want to do that rather than because we've got nothing else to do because we're waiting for the test to run. I think we could do. There's probably some things we could do about the test running slowly. It's probably crept up on us as a project, and there's probably some things we could do because it seems to be doing all of the things every single time you run all the tests, and maybe it's not necessary. I'll talk to David about that. But so yeah, like you said, Kate, it's a good idea. Like, what should we pick out of here to take an action on this week?
So I will definitely commit to not do anything, and and then at the next Friday session, I will be the scribe to write down exactly how long does it take? And I will do that for a few times because you can only spot patterns after you've seen at least 3 iterations.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that I will commit to do.
Brilliant. Well, it'll also make the retro go well next time if we've got a clear log of like, this is what we did. That'll help us to be objective in reflecting, right? I'm going to fix my GPG key and the linting thing. I'm not.
Oh, you know what I'll do? I'll go ahead and.
Anything?
I don't have to. It's true. It's true. I don't have to. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. I ought to.
No, you don't have to. You choose to because this is open source.
That's right. That's right. I'll do everything I can to be here next week because I want to be here.
Yeah.
That would be nice. It's always nice to have you here.
Thank you. It's really appropriate.
That's what I love about open source. It's like if you volunteer for something, it needs to be good. Otherwise, you just won't come.
Okay. Anything else you want to add to this doc before I commit it? Git add. Oh, this is wrong. And we haven't got a commit in here. Sorry, everyone. Just grab that. This is also wasting time, isn't it?
Yeah, but don't worry about it because I'll make a note of it next time.
Right. Well, thanks for sticking around for another 15 minutes for the retro, everyone. That's really nice to have got that. I always like.
It was useful.
Yeah. Great. Well, I'll see you in Slack, and if not next week.
Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Enjoy the weekend.
Nice meeting you, Kate.
Yes, nice meeting you. And congratulations. Enjoy your new job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.